Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mekka. I come from Norway and I love makeup, especially indie makeup and sparkly makeup. And today I'm so excited because Glaminatrix are launching a new palette very soon. And I was sent this palette actually before it launched, which never really happens to me. So I'm so excited. And this is not just any palette. It's potentially my favorite palette from Glaminatrix. It does look like this on the inside. It's one of my favorite kind of color combinations. It's basically fall colors, a fall dream. And yeah, I'm going to do some swatches and then I'm going to do this look right here. And I'm definitely going to make some more videos on this palette because I just love these colors so much. So keep on watching if you're interested in seeing that. Here you can see the palette as a whole and I love it so much. Just look at those delicious shimmers, and they shift so much as well. They're just incredible. And this is just a fall dream to me. I just love these colors so much, and you do have some depth, which I appreciate so much. And also just regular shimmers, or regular, they're duochrome, or at least have some extra sparkle. And then you have the iridescent ones here. And I'll try to show you here with some lighting coming in from the side so you can hopefully see a little bit more of the shifts in these shadows because they're quite shifty. I hope you're able to see it here. Wow, they are so incredible. Now, before we get into the swatches, I really wanted to do just a side-by-side comparison to the Nearly Natural palette because I feel like these are just sisters. They're so similar, but still no shades overlap as far as I can see, because the green is a little bit more like in between these two greens, the one that is in the Nearly Natural palette here. And yeah, they're quite similar, a few of them, but I don't think any of these overlap at all, but I just figured I would show you in case you were wondering how they look like side by side. So there you have it. I decided to swatch the mattes and the shimmers separately just so that I can fit everything on my arm without it being like way too packed. So here are the shimmers, and I'm gonna show you with different lighting too. So we can start with the top ones. The iridescent ones. They look really similar in the pan, but I think you can see the difference quite obviously now that the top one is more of a pink to gold to green, whereas the second one is more of an orange, but it also does have some pink, and then it goes to green. And for me, I definitely prefer the second one. It's one of my favorite kind of iridescent shadows, so I love that one. Then for the two next iridescents, this one is more of a green to blue to purple, and then the next one is more of a yellow gold to blue, I would say. I think that's blue or teal that I see on the very edge there. So I do think the iridescents are some of the more regular iridescents, but I don't actually think I have something like this one, so that's a bit exciting to me. And then for the four deeper, or more, I would say they're more medium toned, but the first one here is like a silvery mauve shade, and it's so sparkly and very foiled in the finish. I think it looks so beautiful. And you do see a little bit of a gold reflect too to it, so it's very pretty. And then we have the orange one there. It is my favorite together with the green over here. So the orange one goes to a gold and a green, and it's just so stunning. I love those kind of shades too. And the green one, it has some very interesting, I think it is blue sparkles or maybe purple, but at least something blue. And I do think you can see those reflects in the close-up of the eye look that I did today, so that will be at the end of the video. But that is such a stunning shade. And the last one, I thought that was going to be a taupe, but I feel like it's a lot warmer than I expected. And it does have both kind of silver and gold reflects to it. But yeah, those are the shimmers. They're so pretty. They just make this palette so beautiful. And I mean, I love the mattes too, but these shimmers, they can, like, they offer you so much. You can do so many different looks with these shimmers together. So now let me show you the matte shadows. And here we have all of the matte swatches. They all swatched very opaquely, I find, and they just seem to be a very nice formula because you can just see how deep and pigmented these shadows are. And I just love this color story. If you just look at like the colors on my arm now, it's so beautiful, and together with those shimmers, it's just fall heaven. So yeah, I'm gonna show you just some side-by-sides of both the matte swatches and the shimmers, and you can see here that the shimmers go very well with the matte shadows, and together they just make such a beautiful palette. For the first look with this palette, I really want to kind of make something with the greens in the outer corner. Then I'll go more into the warmer tones for the inner corner, and I'll use the more purpley pink shades for the lower lash line. And I've not decided which shimmer to go for, so we will just wait and see. So I'm starting with the deepest green shade here, and I'm using my WG3 brush from Stasia Alex. I did apply my Smashbox primer, and I am just going to apply this with some wispy motions here so that we can have a really nice kind of elongated look for the eye. And I do kind of want to do a very deep and grungy and dark look, so I guess I can be quite generous with the amount of this shadow. And I'm of course dragging it towards the crease right here, and as always I like to look straight forward and just see if I can still see the deepest part, because that's kind of the point of applying a deep shade. It is to accentuate your eye shape, so that's what I'm just making sure that I do have that there. And of course I'll also want to make sure that I do have a straight line here, because often I do have like a small part right here that just is a little bit hard to get straight. You will notice yourself if you have creases or a hooded eye. I gotta say, this deep shade is blending really nice just by itself, but I will of course go in with the lighter greens here as well. But before I go in with the transition shade, I'm going to use this deepest orange shade first, and I'm using my 0122 brush from Glam Shop. And then I'm just placing that deep rusty orange right here next to the deep green. Wow, that is blending so nicely. And now I'm going to take the very lightest orange shade, and I'm going to apply that here towards the inner corner. And I'm also overlapping that orange rusty shade that I just applied. And then I'm going to take the lightest shade and I'll apply that right here and under the brow. And then I want to really spice things up a bit and make it more colorful. So I'm taking the lightest green shade and I'm overlapping it here. And I'm also taking it underneath. And then I'm taking that medium toned orange and I'm just applying that here to make sure I get some depth in the crease, because I did just apply the lightest one towards the inner corner here. But I do want to make a very smoky and colorful look. Now, just to make sure that the blending is as I want, I'm going to go in with that medium green that I haven't used yet. I'm just going to apply that straight in the middle of those two greens. And I've got to say, like, you can see how well they have blended. It's just something I did here that makes the shape go a little bit, I don't know, in a wrong direction or something, I don't know. But I'm just applying this to make sure the blend is as I want. But I'm loving these colors. It's really giving fall to me. I can't wait to be using that purple for the lower lash line, because these colors together are just some of my absolute favorite. I think you can also see that if you look at my collab palette, Serpent with Mekka Beauty Shop. I have some very similar colors in there. So now I'm basically just going to do some corrections here and there, just making sure that everything is as I want, and then I'm going to use that purple shade. So I'm just going to use my WG3 brush again. I just cleaned it with my, what is it called, like this thing. So I'm just using this brush because it's very precise, and I want this just in the outer corner of the lower lash line. I will say that these are quite muted colors, but it's like the perfect kind of muted where you still see the colors quite nicely. It's just like a little bit grungy. So I think that's it for that color. And now I'm just gonna take that color that is called Like. It's more of a mauve almost. And I'm using my GB13 brush. And maybe I'll use a little bit of that bright orange, the middle one of the orange called Comment. And I'll just use a little bit of that towards the inner corner here, just to kind of tie the look together. Oh, I don't think I can express how much I love these kind of colors. I can't wait to get those shimmers on my eyelid because I think that's just going to tie everything together. I am loving how these mattes are looking, so I'm going to go in with my Pixie Epoxy from Firenze, and then I'm going to use some shimmers from the palette. So I'm just going to start with this shade and place it on the middle and see if that's kind of the look I want to go for. So as I said, just placing it here on the middle. Yeah, I think I want to use a little bit of that dark green at the very outer edge here. And maybe I'll use that iridescent towards the inner corner. But this looks like a multi-chrome, so I could have technically used it all over the lid. But I'm just taking my little finger into the deepest green shade right here. And then I'm just applying that shade in the outer corner here. It's a bit more cool tone than the one I just applied. And then I want to use this iridescent shade because it looks to be the warmest one. And I'm just using my WG4 brush from Stasi Alex. And I'm applying that here towards the inner corner. And once I've finished my skin makeup, I will also use this as the inner corner highlight. And now I'm just taking the tiniest bit of that middle shade and I'm just tapping it on to make sure that the shimmers are blended nicely together on the lid, because I did use 3 different ones, so I want them to look like they go together. And that is looking really, really nice, I think. So I'm super, super happy with how it's looking. So I'll just finish off the rest of my makeup and show you the close-up. Now that was the close-up of this look, and this palette, like, this is an amazing first impression because I absolutely adore this palette. I think the shimmers are all so special because they have so many sparkles to them. They're all so sparkly and shifty, and they're just amazing with the matte colors here. So I feel like you have so many options for what to do with this palette. And the mattes here, it's like giving me kind of grungy Tati Beauty palette, if you know what palette I'm talking about. I actually even have the Tati Beauty palette here, so I think you can see, like, this is basically like this palette, just way, way better because it has some greens as well as the shimmers just being so spectacular. The ones in the Tati Beauty palette are not special at all, but the Glaminatrix formula it's so amazing. Now, since this is just a first impression, I can't speak for all of the shades. Typically, I find the new shimmers from Glaminatrix, which they have in these palettes with the slightly smaller pans. I typically find that those shimmers are a little bit more emollient than the single shadows that Glaminatrix makes, but for this palette I didn't really notice that yet, but maybe I will notice it when I use the other colors on my eyelid. But as of right now, I'm just super, super happy with the look that I created. I found that the mattes were so opaque, they blended so well, very pigmented, and just top notch in my opinion. And I did use like all of these shades, so it's only for... No, I actually used this one too, so there's only 3 mattes that I didn't use. So yeah, very, very happy about the palette, happy about the look, and I'm so thankful to Glaminatrix for sending this to me in PR. Now, what do you think about this palette? Are you interested in getting it? I just find that it's such a perfect fall palette, and I'm sure I will be getting tons of use out of this palette, which makes me very, very excited. Anyway, I hope that this video was helpful, that you liked the swatches and the look that I created, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!